TheWizardLiz, a very popular influencer who is known for her life coaching advice-styled content, mainly targeted towards young adult women, was recently cheated on by her ex named Landon, and this caused the internet to go into a huge spiral. When the news first broke about this, the majority of her followers were on her side and supporting her throughout this entire situation. But as time went on, more and more things had come out, not just about Landon, but about Liz herself, leading her into an unfavorable public perception. Things have also gotten much worse for Landon, and other people have gotten involved as well, such as one of his other exes named Abby, who he is now claiming that he is going to sue due to the TikToks she has made regarding their relationship. This entire story seems to have spiraled out of control and in many different directions, and today we are going to try and dissect everything we possibly can about the situation. Recently we discussed the TheWizardLiz situation where her ex Landon had cheated on her, and she is somebody who is seen as a life coach online, giving advice to young women through YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. The TheWizardLiz content is new to me ever since covering it just a week or so ago. So to me, as somebody who has just gotten a first impression of her and seen her as just this life coach persona, this has become a wild ride and very surprising. And this is something that now has gotten so out of hand. There are so many plot twists and so many unexpected things happening. This is now between Liz, Landon, Liz's sibling, and a girl named Abby, who we're going to dive into a lot today. So the day that I posted my video on TheWizardLiz, I had been editing it for like 4 or 5 days, recorded it all, everything seemed to be good. I posted it, and that same day, a girl named Abby had come out and made multiple TikToks talking about being Landon's ex and her experience with Landon. She made several accusations against him, which are very severe. She made a 3-part TikTok series. At the time of recording this, she has taken down the videos, but it was under the threat of legal action. Landon made that very clear. We're going to get into his Instagram stories. He has posted a ton of Instagram stories. Where Liz gets involved in this is she actually ends up defending him to a point, which is weird because he just cheated on her and she just came out exposing him for that. There's a lot. We have to get into a lot. This isn't a cut and dry black and white story. This situation has gotten extremely complicated. I want to go through it as chronologically as I can from the last video that I've made. My brain is frazzled. I'm going into this with a bias against Landon due to all of the information we have already known from Liz exposing him previously. Just seeing the videos from Abby, she clearly looks visibly stressed. We're going to compare her story to Landon's story, and I'm going to do that by describing everything she has said in those videos. I do have the videos downloaded and saved in a backlog, but anything I share is going to be at a minimal because I don't know where it stands with re-uploading content that had been taken down due to threat of legal action. I'm not the one making the accusations. I'm just reporting on what was already said. These TikToks have been seen by millions of people at this point, so yeah. For those of you who haven't seen my previous video, I highly recommend watching it, but just to give you a little bit of a recap, TheWizardLiz is a content creator with millions of followers across all different platforms, and her content is based off of motivating people, mostly a feminine audience, on being the best versions of themselves. At a glance, this seemed like a very positive, uplifting type of channel. Someone in the comments of my video actually pointed out that the more you look into it, the more she sounds like a woman version of alpha male creators, and now I can't unsee it like that, but at the time it just seemed like life coaching advice. I was very upfront in my previous video that I wasn't that big on TheWizardLiz. I was very new and fresh to her content, and I had just gotten a first impression of her. The reason why I thought that it was fair to still create a video discussing that is because we weren't talking about just her content. We were talking about a man who had cheated on her, and the focus was mostly on Landon and what he had done to her and how people were outraged about this, and the bigger picture being the response from her audience being like, TheWizardLiz can get cheated on. That means anybody can. And the whole thing is that isn't how it should be treated, because if somebody's going to cheat on somebody, they're going to cheat. It doesn't matter how beautiful, how talented, how skilled you are. If somebody's going to cheat on you, they're going to cheat on you 99.9% of the time. The problem is them. If somebody cheats on you, it does not mean that you're not good enough. It does not mean you're not pretty enough. It does not mean you're not smart enough. It does not mean you're not X, Y, or Z enough. It just means that they are flawed. Beyonce was cheated on. And that was the whole message of that video. So even though I hadn't dived into her content on a deep level, I got a surface level knowledge of what she created. Today, we are going to deep dive a little bit more. We are going to peer through the cracks and look a little bit deeper because they seem very disproportionate to what she preaches. And a lot of people have been left very confused. And I'm here to patch a few things up and bridge the gap of confusion. Starting from the end of my last video, TheWizardLiz talked about leaving Landon and she's pregnant. I kind of ended at that with a word of advice that I had just gone into in that spiel. The day that I uploaded that video, Abby had come out sharing her own story, and she did this in a 3-part TikTok series where she talked about how Landon had physically and mentally abused her, allegedly. This is her claims. As we'll get into later, Landon completely denies this. So let's dive into the list of claims she's made, because of course I can't show you the entire videos. Again, I'm a little worried about sharing that. Since I will only be showing a minimal amount of clips due to her videos getting taken down over threat of legal action, I'm going to list out every major claim she makes in each of her videos. So this is part 1. She claims they dated from 2023 to 2024 and she met him in Dallas, Texas. She claims that she was both physically and mentally abused by Landon. She claims that he cheated on her and provides screenshots. The first text says, "I am so sorry I hurt you, you know? I never wanted this. What can be done?" Abby responds, "But it happened. It's okay. God's plan is never wrong." He responds, "What can be done to fix it? Is there any reality you want that?" She says, "Landon, time travel back before you hurt me with you had a million chances. I'm good. That's it? I mean that little to you? Like I said, you had your chance. Live with the consequences of losing me. Biblical love doesn't keep score. You went out to a club searching if I was out and then invited my friends to your section? You have not changed one bit. I am praying for you. A lot of people are. I hope you have enough strength to get through this. I went searching if you were out. What do you mean?" Also walked up to me, by the way. I was trying to be nice and also told her how much you meant to me. If you were out, I would have been happy to see you. I would rather have been with you. You hold such harsh judgment for me. I'm sorry I hurt you. I just really can't believe it. You said this was all me not being able to change when I was trying to fix things, and it cuts off. There's another text that says, "You're right, glad you understand that." He says, "Let me go. I can't keep dealing with this pain like this. Your one jacket is downstairs." She responds, "Oh, I will. Thanks." He says, "Look at how much hatred and resentment there is here. You were being so sweet yesterday. Control was lost again. I never wanted this with you. It didn't need to be this hard. It could have been so much simpler. And I really resent that it wasn't. I effing hate it." Throughout the video, she also claims that he cheated on her several times. She claims that when she was about to break up with Landon, he wrote her a love letter, a book, a song, and she also claims that he came back with tons of flowers. She brings up the claims with the flowers a few times. She claims that she had taken him back several times. She claims that she had gotten pregnant by him and had a miscarriage, and there's a lot of information we're going to go over regarding that as well. On top of that, she claims that during the miscarriage, he wouldn't comfort her and that he would leave her feeling alone. She claims that he convinced her that she had BPD. She claims that he put his hands on her and plays a very short clip that sounded like him yelling "oh" and going towards her, but then it cuts off. I'm going to share that clip now because I feel like that's important for context.
This is the first time he laid his hands on me, and I'm going to show you the video. Trigger warning. And he was coming to come get me, and he punched a hole in the wall. He cornered me. I have pictures and videos. Hold on.
This is such a short clip. There's really not that much information we can get from this, but she claims that this is from that incident. Landon does mention this in his response, which we will get into in a moment. She also claimed that he punched holes in the walls, and all of this information, which is still in the first video, is what she claimed happened before they were even 4 months into their relationship. Now we're getting into the second video she made. Abby started the video off sharing that she broke out in hives and rashes, claiming that it was due from the stress of discussing this situation. She also said that her reasoning for her doing this was that she felt something needed to be said to show that she wasn't the one that Landon had cheated on Liz with, which I can kind of understand because people were going after anybody who even had photos with Landon at this point, accusing them of being the person that he cheated on Liz with. The person that Landon was trying to cheat on Liz with and technically did cheat, but I wouldn't say with, and that's because this person did not reciprocate that desire. She rejected him. So nobody should be getting any type of hate for what he wanted to do. That was his fault. She claimed that she continued to take him back after he would give her a handwritten note and flowers, and she shows 2 photos of these notes.
He would literally like write me notes and everything. Like,
she claims that during New Year's he cheated on her again with the same girl he cheated on her previously, and also claims that he invited that girl to Hawaii. Abby also claims that she found out by going through his phone, and that this had apparently led to them breaking up again and him throwing, I quote, a light wand at her. I'm gonna share this clip just for context.
I found that out when I went through his phone. We broke up again. He threw a light wand at me. Like, it was just so much.
A projectile. She claims he threw a projectile at her, I guess. Abby claims that following March, Landon told her he was going to Bora Bora with guy friends, but it turned out to be with another girl. She claims that they went to a couples therapist, and the therapist allegedly said, "This is not love, you do not deserve this is not normal." I'm playing this clip for context for later.
When we went to the therapist, she was like, this is not love. She was like, "Honey, you're so young, and you don't deserve this, and this is not normal, and this is not how it should be." She told me that those butterflies in your stomach that you get with a man is just your nervous system saying, "Stop, please stop. Find someone else." And when she told me that, it stuck with me. I kept on going to see her.
Abby claims that they went through therapy, and she realized that her nervous system was having high and lows, and she says, I quote, "He loves me, he doesn't love me," and it was making her go crazy.
Your nervous system is regulated with him. He loves going to up and downs, being like, he loves me, he doesn't love me, he doesn't love me, and like, it was making me go crazy.
She claims that she woke up at 4 a.m. and could feel that he cheated on her again in Bora Bora. She blocked him, and he sent her, quote, thousands of emails.
I literally freaking woke up and was like, yeah, that's it. I woke up with thousands of emails, because I blocked him when he went, because I was like, no, this is not for me. You know, you have fun, but you are going to Bora Bora, you're going to be with me. And he made that decision. I let him walk out of my life, and I was okay with that.
She claimed that when he returned from Bora Bora, she went through his phone and found no photos, videos, or texts, aside from a group chat that had a girl's name in it with a wife emoji next to it, and I suppose this was to indicate that she assumed he deleted all the photos from the trip, and that this was the girl he could have allegedly cheated on her with while he was in Bora Bora. Abby then claims that he was honest about being with another girl and provides screenshots with a long thread of texts. So the first text message kind of starts out in the middle of a conversation, starting with what I assume Landon is in the white and Abby in the blue. Landon saying, "And how perfect I could be." Abby says, "Not anymore." Landon responds, "And you begged me to change and grow, and now I'm seriously all in on that. You can't see the light anymore." She said, "You're weak." He said, "And that's my fault. With God I am strong. I was weak." She says, "You are pathetic." He says, "I was pathetic." She said, so glad that you found God." He responds, "I was weak and pathetic. I was wrong. I took my hurt and hurt you and filled a void and did something I shouldn't have, regardless of if you were in my life or not. No matter how meaningless it was. It was disgusting and wrong, and it's not something I'll do again. But you don't believe that. You don't believe I genuinely see that. I pray that you never feel this pain ever again, Abby. I love you so much, and you don't see it, and I understand. But no matter what, if you leave me and find another man that you love, that loves you, I pray that if for whatever reason he wrongs you in the same way, that you forgive him. As it says it should be in the Bible, forgiveness isn't about ignoring the wrong and just pretending it's okay. Unconditional love does not equal unconditional positive regard, but unconditional love does mean loving people through their faults as they grow. And that's the love I have for you. If I'm still not enough now, I will understand. I get it. I get where I was less, and I get all of it. I am so effing sorry for hurting you, but that doesn't mean that in this moment I am that guy. I am quite literally the opposite. It's the lesson I've ever had to learn, but I had to learn it, and it's not something that will ever happen again. Even if we got back together and you threw me away, I wouldn't go and fill a void. I would just do me. If you don't love me, that's okay. I'm taking accountability and would still love the chance to see you in person to apologize, even if you don't ever want to see me again after that. I'm still going to therapy to talk about all of this and learn how to make proper amends and learn how to deal with my betrayal and rebuilding our trust, regardless of if you never want to see me again. I love you, and that means nothing to you right now, now, and that kills me. But I can't force you to see me or take me back or accept what I'm telling you is true. That's in God's hands and your hands. I'm sorry for the position I've put you in, baby, and I'm sorry for wronging you. This is not something that will ever happen again. I am presently the best version of me that's ever existed, and if that's not enough for you because of my past faults, if that's still not enough, I will understand. No part of me wants to let you go, but it would be selfish to hold so tight if no part of your heart loves me. However, I do think we love each other more than this, and I know we can come out on the other side stronger than ever before. I love you and root for you and want to see you happy and full and literally want nothing but the best for you. I'm not going to spend too much time dissecting every single text he sent her, but I will say that there are some pretty shocking parallels to what he's telling Abby and what he says in response to Liz exposing him for cheating on her, such as him saying, "I had a moment of weakness." It's also interesting reading texts that say, "I've changed and I will never do this again," and then seeing him doing this to somebody else in a different relationship. And while we don't specifically get a verbatim confession of him saying, "I slept with this person," the way that this is worded heavily implies that he did cheat in some way. Of course, if all of these text messages are legitimate, which he has made a very lengthy response, he did not confirm or deny the legitimacy of these text messages. But anyway, what really agitates me is when people admit to something like cheating and then they try to say something along the lines of, "Yeah, well, I did that, but it was meaningless. It meant nothing to me." It doesn't matter if it means nothing to you, because it means everything to the person that you hurt and cheated on, and their entire world has been flipped upside down by your actions, and it can be extremely traumatizing. And I get why people try to say it was meaningless. They are trying to make the other person feel better by saying, "They're not better than you, you're still the best, this person means nothing to me." But what you're actually doing is minimizing that person's pain that they're already feeling and making them feel like, not only did this person cheat on me, betray me, and break my heart, but they don't see the impact that it has put. They don't see this as a big deal, when it is. Abby then claims that he slept with this other girl, but that he had denied sleeping with her. And she provides even more screenshots of emails he had allegedly sent to her. Here are some of the emails. She says that he had sent her even more. However, these were the only ones she could find, or at least the only ones she shared in these TikToks. "You've hurt me in so many ways. I really wish we could start over. I love you and think about you all day. I'd rather be with you. I have so much pain from all of the times in the past you didn't care, and I wish I didn't because I just want us to be okay. I wish it never happened. I think about what I saw at the Playhouse, and I still get sick. I heard that you said something about me in August. That really just breaks my heart even more. I wish it was never like this. I wanted you. I'm sorry, baby. I shouldn't have lied. I wanted nothing more than for us to move forward and for things to finally be good. I don't want to talk to anybody else. I haven't been cheating on you, but I did lie. And every single time I lie or have hurt you, I feel a piece of my soul leave me, and I just wish you could understand how ashamed I am to still have egg on my face in this moment where I know all I want is to be better for me, especially so that I could be better for you. I know what you need. I know now how to give it to you better than I ever have. I know you see how things have been getting better and how we really have been growing together. I've been seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for us clearer than ever recently, and that makes me the happiest man alive. So please hear me when I say sorry, and please don't just give up on me or us or everything we were so excited about today. I don't want to hurt you. It absolutely rips my heart out, and I have nothing remaining from either of our pasts holding me to be fearful of loving you as fully as I possibly can. So please hear me when I say that I'm sorry for where I was not enough, but I swear I want to and can be better. If in your heart you loved like you said you did, and as I said I love you, please don't give up on me and our love. I hope you can forgive me and trust me enough to see just how much I want this to be better for us." Waking up to remember that things are like this is so devastating after how good things just were between us. You are the first thing I thought of, as always. I hope your photo shoot goes really well, and I pray you find in your heart forgiveness one last time, as things were genuinely getting so good. I want to protect your heart, and although I failed by not being wholly honest about the past, this is something that never has to happen again, and I can ensure it. Please look at how good things were and believe me when I say that I swear to you my heart is in the best place for us. I fell short in this area, but I never want to fail us again. I was really trying hard for us. Bro sounds like he has a PR team writing her emails to save their relationship. Please don't think you have to silent treatment or never talk to me again to be safe. I'm so sorry, Abigail. I know what you need and want to give you that, plus the world. This pain from being blocked and knowing things are like this is debilitating for me. It feels that I paid you and then you blocked me after saying you wouldn't. Please see that I was only trying to protect your feelings and your heart. I wasn't still talking to anyone or cheating or undervaluing you. I made a mistake, but I am more of a man now, and I swear to you I will never make that mistake again. Please don't treat me like this. I love you. I'm sorry. Abigail, I swear to God, I will love you till the day I die. If you can just find in your heart the ability to forgive me this last time. I want to be better. Don't give up on me now after things have been getting better. Please let our love survive this final test. All I want is you. Abby then shows a screenshot of different emails in her inbox sent from Landon, and it seems like he has made multiple email accounts to message her because she had blocked some of them. On July 27th, he wrote, "Please give me closure and understanding. Is this how you want it to be? It's never too late for honesty, and it's something I would greatly appreciate." And then she shows that the last email sent to her was July 28th, 2024. Abby claims that she ended things with him again in April, and that she moved to Miami, but he crept back in her life again. This is where Abby claims that she had broke up with him again and that he allegedly tried sending her more flowers and allegedly found her therapist, who was in Miami because this took place in Miami at this time.
I break up with him. I don't see him. He sent me thousands of flowers. He found my address. He found my therapist here in Miami. And she couldn't tell me that, but she was like, your boyfriend, like this and this and this. And I freak out. I'm texting him like, how the did you find my therapist? How the He's like, I wanted you back. I wanted her to have my experience with you. I wanted her to see that I love you. And I'm like, he didn't even deny it.
In this situation, he claims that this therapist was their couple's therapist, and they met that therapist at the same time, so how could he possibly have stalked her? The way she describes it, I'm gonna share this clip actually, this particular clip, so you can hear it for yourself. Landon, these are just her claims, I'm just reporting on it, and I find it necessary for context to play the clip. He can deny these claims, and he has denied these claims, and I think it's important to mention that, but this is the way she describes it.
When we went to the therapist, she was like, this is not love. She was like, honey, you're so young. And when she told me that, it stuck with me. I kept on going to see her. I don't have BPD, but she knew what I went through, so she would know how to heal me. And she made me have so much self-worth because she kept on telling me that it's my choice to go back, and it is my choice. He found my address. He found my therapist here in Miami, and she couldn't tell me that, but she was like, your boyfriend, like this and this and this, and I freak out. I'm texting him like, how the did you find my therapist? How the He's like, I wanted you back. I wanted her to have my experience with you. I wanted her to see that I love you. And I'm like, he didn't even deny it.
I think it's possible there could have been two therapists here, but that is not confirmed. We're going to revisit this later when it comes to Landon's response. Anyway, continuing towards the end of part 2, she claims that the reason he found her therapist was because he wanted her to see his side, and also allegedly showed up at Abby's apartment and was allegedly crying on his knees in her apartment in front of Abby and her friend. Abby claims that she went to Europe and was posting her vacation on Snapchat, and she claims that when she went to Ibiza, that he showed up in Ibiza and that he was stalking her. She also made the claim that he approached her in Ibiza, and this is where part 3 begins. Abby continues discussing how he approached her in Ibiza and claims that he said, I'm going to talk to you. Not I want to talk to you, but I'm going to talk to you. This is what she claimed he said. And then she claims that he allegedly grabbed her arm and that her new boyfriend allegedly pushed his arm back and said, she doesn't want to talk to you, you need to leave. She continues to claim that he made a big public scene embarrassing her and making fun of her new boyfriend. After this incident, she claims that he sent her more emails. She claims that he later saw her at a club, still in Ibiza as far as I'm understanding this, and allegedly sent 5 men to try and fight her new boyfriend. Abby further claims that an altercation did take place, but nothing physical happened, but that she was frozen in fear at one point. She also adds in a claim that she called the police on Landon in December of 2023 because he allegedly put his hands on her. So Abby does share a screenshot of a message message she had sent to Landon. I'm not 100% sure if I remember this correctly, but I'm pretty sure this was actually posted in part 1 of her 3-part series. You punched a hole in the wall and cornered me 4 different times, getting in my face and pushing me. It was self-defense. You won't even admit that in the truth because you're still trying to gaslight me. Find God. I will never know what was done or said. You delete messages and delete her number and delete your call logs. There's always going to be something sketchy. You lied, gaslight me, and manipulate me to believe that it was your CEO calling you 9:30 at night. Find God. I'll keep you in the loop if I'm pregnant or not. Please do not reach out to me until I reach out to you. Do not show up to my house or I will call the police on you again. I feel like with this text specifically, there's a little bit of context missing here, especially when it comes to Landon's response, which we will get into. At the very end of this, Abby compares Landon to Joe Goldberg from the show You on Netflix.
And then I've watched You and I realized, damn, like, that's Landon. And it was his favorite show.
Abby then made a 4th video after sharing her story, claiming that Landon reached out to her family in an attempt to get her to take down her videos. This is where Liz is brought up, and Abby claims that Liz called her back in September.
This is my last and final video I'm gonna make about this unless it continues to progress. I'm here to talk about the screenshots of me warning Liz and then having a conversation with her on the phone. All the way back in November and October of 2024, I do want to talk about the fact that Landon has found my dad's phone number and my brother's phone number, and then reached out to them and was harassing them over and over all night and all morning, trying to get me to take down my videos. He also reached out to someone that I have a relationship with that I was also in a content house with in Fort Lauderdale, asking her to persuade me to delete the video. And I was even told by her, like, keep it up. Like, I had no idea and everything like that. But I just want this to rest and I want to move on with my life. Like, it's October 4th or 5th whenever she called me, and I'm like, okay, I answered the no caller ID assuming it was gonna be the police. It wasn't. And I have friends that are I don't know what the correct verbiage is, but they're Middle Eastern and they have an accent, and she called me, she's like, who is this? And I was like, you called me, like, who is this? And then she said, my name is Liz, who is this? And I was like, I don't even think I answered, because I was like, is this the moment where I tell her everything? Like, oh my god, like, how does she get my number? Like, I was like, and I think that's when she hung up on me, and I'm gonna show you that phone call. But that's when it was a no caller ID, and obviously Landon had this phone number because we were together, and that's when it was 5 days after I got my bike stolen.
She then talks about sending Liz a DM a month after this call took place.
It took me a month to even wanting to respond to her, but I did DM her, and I did try to warn her, and she didn't answer. Like, she's famous, you know, like, she probably didn't see it. I didn't know to DM anyone else. I was just like, you know what, I tried, it's off my hands, it's off my back. I'm in peace, I'm happy that he's in a relationship, that he would never ever contact me again. I said I was gonna drop my restraining order, which I did, but I think that it's time for me to go get a restraining order because of the DMs and the harassment of my family. But he hasn't reached out to me, so I don't know, but I'm gonna show you the DMs. This is the DMs, November 12th, and then Wednesday, because I went through exactly what she went through, and I wanted her to hopefully reach out.
So in the video itself, the text message is a little bit hard to read, but this is what it says. Hey honey, I'm Landon's ex. There's some emails you should go through of him spamming me and following me to Europe. I dropped my restraining order because he stopped emailing me, but he was emailing me into August, begging for me back after what I assume she meant he broke up with me, and he stalked me into Ibiza. He emailed me on 2 different email accounts to myself. Just thought you should know. You also called me on my second phone number after I got back from Europe. I would go through his emails to see. Just trying to help a girl out. I'm not trying to start anything, but be careful with that boy. And that was written on November 12th, and then it seems like in a more recent message she wrote, I'm so sorry, I just heard what happened. If you're up for it, I would love to have a conversation. I was also a victim from Landon, and we have similar stories. Landon got me pregnant as well back in November of 23. I know this is a lot to take in, but it's been weighing on my heart, and I would love to tell you my story and hopefully give you closure. You have my number, feel free to text me. Finally, Abby explains why she needed to say something publicly.
I'm going to preface this, the only reason I even made this public knowledge was because my boyfriend was getting hate. I don't post my boyfriend or my boyfriend's name or his links or anything like that. So I was like, how the hell did y'all find him? And then I was getting a lot of hate because people were saying that he was in a relationship with someone while he was engaged. And then they were saying it was me because I was his last relationship. And I was like, God, no. So I had to clear my name before hate started continuing piling up on me when I didn't do it. Like, that wasn't me. Like, I needed to stand up for my name, and I needed to say like what I went through. And then that's when I was like, you know what, no, like, this is the time I talk about what happened, and this is the time I talk about him stalking me in another country, and this is the time that I showcase my receipts that my friend sent me, and this is the time that I make this well known who this person is, because it's deserving. Like, she deserves this, I deserve this, every woman going through this. And it was like, oh my God, like, this story resonates with me, like, I deserve this, and I hope that this helps.
Now here's the thing, I'm not trying to bash things like Instagram stories or any app that adds stories, because I am a story enjoyer. I like to post stories more than I actually post on my Instagram feed, basically. But when it comes to addressing things that are extraordinarily important, such as, for example, Landon coming out and responding to the TikToks that were made about him by Abby just shortly after the entire scandal that happened between him and Liz, it comes across is pretty calculated, in my opinion, because he knows that, first of all, not a lot of people know about his Instagram account. The main focus of this entire situation is TheWizardLiz, because she has a very large audience on all platforms, and his audience on Instagram is only a fraction of that. But he only has 2 posts on his Instagram, one being the picture of Liz that we talked about in the previous video, and a new picture of Liz's ultrasound. So with that being said, if he made a post directly onto his feed addressing all of this, it would be much more visible than if he had just posted a story that lasts for 24 hours, because he doesn't have much to see on his account compared to some people who post a ton of things on Instagram per day that could bury that incident or scandal or whatever you want to call it, basically. And you could say that Liz had the same calculations, which may be true because she did delete her posts very quickly, but again, there's a very large gap between their audience sizes, and people have their eyes on Liz right now. Half the people that know about this story don't even know that Landon has an Instagram account. On top of that, I would say maybe a fraction of the people that have heard about this story through like TikTok or other YouTube videos are aware that he made a thread of posts on Instagram stories. And why am I confident in saying that? Because I had no idea about this until I looked deeper into it, because every video I saw was just talking about Liz's stories. So again, thank you to anybody and everybody who had reposted this and archived this, because I think it's very important for context. So with that being said, this is Landon's Instagram story response to the TikToks made about him by Abby. And by that I mean the first response. He made a second, much longer response, which we will also get into, but this is what he said first. I'm taking my power back. I'm done not defending myself. I'm done not respecting myself. I am not Joe Goldberg of the effing internet. That's cringe as hell, my guy, but let's go. Before Liz, I was in a 1-year relationship with the most toxic, manipulative, lying, cheating, and narcissistic person I know. After that relationship ended, all I felt was bad for them. I began healing. I prayed for them. I never spoke publicly about what I endured, because why keep giving them my energy? However, now that they feel they have permission to jump on this intentional Landon hate train, they took this viral opportunity, which they have nothing to do with, to dox me, leak my work number, and make up lies saying whatever they can for their own personal and monetary gain. I am done not defending myself. Congratulations for proving yourself a fool. I am no longer going to be messed with. Now in this next screenshot, he does share pictures of the back of his neck, and they look pretty scratched up, but I'm blurring them out because YouTube gets really picky with this type of stuff. Regardless of what happened, this does look really bad. He says, 1, how crazy is it for your to claim you physically them when you have never and would never hit a woman even when they hit you, and endured many instances of physical from them. Many instances, provable in court. My attorneys will see you there. So he is directly threatening to sue her, which is interesting because many TikToks claimed that this information came from Liz because she had briefly mentioned that Landon was allegedly going to take Abby to court. Many people didn't see this story, and we're gonna get into Liz's story in a moment. Landon continues too. Ask yourself what their motivation is for doing something. Here's another example of lying, saying I creepily Joe Goldberg style found out the same therapist when we moved to Miami, LOL, and he provides a short text conversation between him and his therapist which says, hi Landon, how are you managing? Not well. Blank felt she had permission to come out and post false things about our past relationship, including saying that I somehow reverse engineered finding you as my therapist because I somehow knew she went to you. The therapist responds, reverse engineered? You both were initially supposed to come to a couple session, and then we had one individual session first. He responds with thumbs up emojis and says, exactly. Also, we're going to come back to this. I did not blur out the name here, but it's a pretty short name and the last letter closely resembles a Y. And like I said, keep that in the back of your head. We're going to come back to that for a reason you might not expect. There's a huge thing with this that we're going to get into in a second, but this has caused damage to other people that had nothing to do with Liz, Landon, or Abby in this situation. Or Liz's sister, who's like briefly involved. Imagine how much trauma this inflicts on someone who actually wants to be a great father. So much proof. There are text messages with a number blurred out saying, we were pregnant. I can't block you until I know I'm not pregnant. He responds, in that case, I hope you're not pregnant. If I'm pregnant with your baby, then we're going to do the mature thing and get rid of it, and you'll fund that excursion. Have a great life, Landon. If I am pregnant, I'm going to send you the bill for my treatment. The next text is covered up a little bit with a post on the Instagram story itself, which says fake pregnancy and manipulation. To think she was doing all of this lying while meeting sugar daddies, I thought this was real. So he's claiming that she faked her pregnancy. I'm going to assume she says, I hope one day you get someone pregnant and she has a miscarriage, and then you'll understand what she went through because that's what I did alone, and I hope you make her pay for everything. That's wild. There's a little bit more text on the side here. It says, I'm currently something. I'm so tired. I feel off. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what the screenshot on the side is there. He continues, 4, serial liar, by the way. In the text message, it says, Cody Mack looked nothing like me. Darby looked nothing like me. Luke doesn't look like me. James doesn't look like me. She says, Mondo gave me thousands of dollars and was a client. He says, Z didn't look like me. She says, Cody, I blocked and I didn't even want to kiss. WTF. I never cheated with any of them. I get James and Mondo. And then he has footnotes on the Instagram story that says, found out they talked for a month, made out and went to Mexico together, and that's regarding someone named Cody. And then regarding the people named James and Mondo, he wrote, went on dates with them. He says, Jack didn't look like me, and she says, and the rest are stretches, and you know that. He says, Jet didn't look like me, so what's your point? She says, I didn't cheat on you with any of them. Mondo you knew about, and James you read the message and saw what he was holding over my head. For that I can admit shame. I entered Jet because I was a bottle girl and booked him and got 10%. Same with Cody. That one was a friendship. Another footnote states, just giving you a sense of the person. Thank God I saved all our messages. He's, I guess, trying to claim that she's a sugar baby and trying to use that to discredit her claims against him. It basically comes down to him claiming that she cheated on him, and I don't know how any of this takes away from the fact that he did in fact cheat on Liz, and that's why he was in hot water to begin with. So whether or not she did, this doesn't make him any better of a person because he did this to someone else. 5, imagine dropping your girlfriend off at the airport to go see her girls in Vegas when in reality she went to meet a rich fat old sugar daddy multiple times. Funny at this point. He says, Detroit is where Z is, right? Real estate convention, AWE is the biggest augmented reality expo as far as I'm aware. Need to get in there next next year. She says, you need to, and I don't know, I'm getting some paperwork signed for us. NDA because I sent you nudes and told you a lot of info, just for us. He said a question mark, LOL what? She says, what you mean? You want me to sign an NDA because you sent me nudes or because I know about Z? That's weird. She said nudes, family drama. He says, you probably signed an NDA with Z, it's just weird. Then in the footnotes on the Instagram story, he says, you're so worried about people finding out about Z, so I put his name right here so he knows you lied when you told him you wouldn't tell anyone about his marital affairs either. I'm going to block this person's name out because I don't know if they even know about this. He claims that she doxed him. It seems like he might be trying to dox somebody else, maybe. So he wrote the name and said she might have broken your NDA. So the last post in this story thread says, I believe, which is in parentheses, this person is a pathological liar and I hate to even post this to the internet, but I'm done not defending myself. This person does not care about what happened between Liz and I. She just wants to personally and monetarily benefit from my image. My legal team is beginning to litigate to the full extent of the law. Somehow all of this made people forget I'm an intelligent, self-made multi-millionaire serial entrepreneur, aka I'm smart enough to defend myself and get my bag. A bunch of thumbs up emojis. Thank you. Next. Landon, nobody forgot the stories you posted attempting to cheat on your wife who is pregnant with your child. Now, remember when I said to keep this underlined word in the back of your head? Right after he posted this, for some reason, a bunch of people decided to go and investigate and try to figure out who he was talking about since he didn't mention Abby's name in his story. This led people to finding one of Landon's old exes named Catherine. I'm not going to show her full username because I think she's gotten enough exposure from the people stalking whoever Landon has been involved with. They found her account from a picture they had together and assumed that this is who he was talking about and started sending her a ton of hate and a ton of harassment in the comments of her photos. Someone screenshotted and shared on the Reddit a lot of the comments that were left underneath Catherine's photos, and these are just some of the hate comments that she's been receiving. You don't have to text Liz, you know she doesn't need your support. Liz's fandom is enough, and we know how shady you are. Couldn't spell shady correctly. Yes, Landon is bad, but you are the baddest of all. With a clown emoji. I knew something was off with you. Just saw Landon's story. Bruh, you're such a two-faced person. Is she the woman Liz mentioned in her story? You're weird. Leave that pregnant woman alone and stop trying to ride the clout wave on somebody else's misery. So he cheated on that pretty girl for you? So people are even getting her mixed up with the person that he tried to cheat on Liz with, which by the way shouldn't even be getting hate because she didn't want him and made sure Liz was aware of what happened. Luckily, people were in the comments saying, guys, Landon isn't talking about this ex, please leave her alone. And some even tagged TheWizardLiz and tried to get her attention to try and encourage her fans to stop attacking this person. At this point, I have yet to see Liz mention anything regarding Catherine, unless I missed something. I also went and checked and it doesn't seem like every single person is hating on her, but there were some creepy comments like, guess my detective skills are really good, or guess I'm better at stalking than I thought. I'm paraphrasing, but I vividly remember one comment with the word detective and one comment with the word stalking. And then there were a lot of people just sending her positivity and just saying, girl, you dodged a bullet. But imagine graduating college, being proud of that, posting your pictures on your Instagram account, and then getting tons of hate because you at one point dated this guy who made a very vague post about an ex, and now everyone assumes it's you when it's provably not her. Let's go back to this name. Look at how short that name is, and it looks like it ends in a Y. You know what a short name is that ends in Y? Abby. You know what isn't a short name that ends in Y? Catherine. Part of me wonders if he purposefully blurred out Abby or whoever's name this is, so that way anybody who talked about him would receive hate because he's such a big brain smart guy that maybe he thought to do that. But who really knows? That's just a suspicion. Anyway, this is what Catherine said in a story, which I believe was posted before Landon posted on Instagram. I've thought about sharing my experience and timeline on social media, but after giving it some thought, I've decided not to. There were a lot of painful and in some cases unforgivable moments in my past relationship with Landon, things I'd rather not relive publicly. I did reach out to Liz on Instagram some days ago to offer my support, though I completely understand if she hasn't seen it given how overwhelmed her inbox must be. I'm here for her if she ever wants to talk, because I truly believe situations like this are best handled privately, not in the public eye. I fully support her and the decisions she's made, but what's unfolding between them online isn't my place to step into. I truly appreciate everyone who's reached out, but kindly asked not to be tagged or brought into a situation that I wasn't part of creating. These are real lives, real emotions, and it's important to me that things are handled with care and respect. I'm choosing to move forward quietly, and I'd be grateful if that space could be honored. At TheWizardLiz. Yeah, that really sounds like someone coming out and saying all the things that Landon was refuting. That doesn't really make sense to me. It could totally be that there was another story that I missed that she deleted and it wasn't captured or reposted anywhere, but I'm pretty sure this is it, because if she did post a story, she probably would have said something along the lines, "I've decided to take it down." But I have even more. So Landon posted even more stories, and we will dive into that, but first I want to get into TheWizardLiz's response. But before that, I do need to share this snippet, because after all of this happened, he finally name drops Abby in the stories. It's a text message between him and his mom, and he says, "A little update for you. Abby did exactly what I thought she would. She told me that she loved me and wanted me to come to Ibiza. She was trying to be sweet but shut down again today. She told me to come to Ibiza on Thursday, so I somewhat desperately booked the something," and it cuts off. There's another screenshot that seems to be from the mom's end that states it's from July 14th, 2024, so I don't know if both of these screenshots are from the same day. Regardless, at this point, it seems very clear that he is referring to Abby in all of these stories and not Catherine, who has been relentlessly harassed by both followers of him and Liz, I guess. So please just leave Catherine alone. She clearly wants to be left out of this. She made it a point to say she did not contribute to any part of this. So just leave her alone. Give her peace. Again, going chronologically here, these were stories that were shared shortly after Abby had started talking about this, and it caused a lot of confusion. People were questioning who was this ex. They had gone after the wrong person and sent her tons of harassment, which I still think that Liz should make some sort of statement if she hasn't already, because she may have on Instagram stories and I didn't catch it, but I haven't seen anything. As far as I'm aware, she hasn't, but I think she should discourage her followers from attacking that girl. I think Landon should be making a post somewhere apologizing to her that people were misdirected to her and clearing it up, making sure that people know that it is not her or anybody else who might have gotten friendly fire from this situation. I put friendly in quotations because there was nothing friendly about it at all. It was very nasty, some of these comments. But first, really quick, did you know that in the year of 2021, the National Safety Council reported that over 36,000 car accidents would happen every single day? In many cases, those who have gotten in accidents would have to stress over dealing with the cost of treatments for their injuries. But this is where Morgan & Morgan could step in and make things easier for you if you decide to become their client. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys across all 50 states. And when dealing with cases, Morgan & Morgan doesn't settle for lowball offers. In fact, Morgan & Morgan has achieved significant verdicts for victims with life-altering injuries. This includes over $12 million in Florida, which is 34 times the highest insurance offer, and $26 million in Philly, which is 40 times the highest insurance offer. The best part, you don't have to pay unless you win your case. You heard that correctly. You don't have to worry about any upfront charges. If you've ever gotten seriously hurt, your injuries could be worth millions, and you're just a few easy clicks away from potentially changing your life. You can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/Mimi, or you can check my link in the description below. Thank you so much to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring another video on this channel, and with that being said, let's get back into today's topic. So before we get into Landon's huge response with like 30 different pages, let's take a break and get into Liz's involvement in this situation, because a lot of people are extraordinarily frustrated and upset with Liz. And then I think after Landon made his post, the public opinion went back into her favor a little bit. So the public opinion was originally in her favor, then it went against her, and then a little bit of it came back. And it's just like a back and forth and people are flip-flopping. But at this point, the public response to TheWizardLiz has been criticizing her for the way she responded to Abby. This is what she had to say in Instagram stories. So Liz has reposted some of these Instagram stories to her YouTube page. However, a majority of of them have been quickly deleted, but fear not, as many people have immediately screenshotted it and posted it onto Reddit and other similar websites. Now, I don't know how much I've gone into this before, but I have mixed feelings on Reddit because it can get really dogpile-y really fast, and that's regardless of who or what the topic is about. However, I do find it to be a valuable archiving source for certain things like this, because without things being reposted, there would be a lot of missing context that we wouldn't have to piece this story together. And again, that's not just Reddit either, that's pretty much the whole internet, but basically, I discourage anybody sending any hate or harassment towards anybody mentioned in today's video, or any of my videos, obviously. And with that being said, I want to dive into some of the reposts of Liz's story and other stories that we will get into throughout this video. So let's start with what Liz had posted and then deleted. And to remind you, this is in regards to Abby's TikToks. Guys, I'm getting videos from my friends that Landon's ex just posted a video saying that she had DM'd me before and that I called her. I have never in my life called any woman or even been aware about any women in our relationship. She shows evidence of a no-caller ID number and claims she recognized it's me because of my Middle Eastern accent. I am not Middle Eastern, and it feels like to me you're trying to make fun of my accent. Whatever happened between you and Landon is between you guys to solve, but don't start lying and making up rumors about me. My friend kept commenting that I never called her or have seen her DMs, and her comments kept getting deleted. I don't understand what your motive is. She also leaked Landon's phone number and email, and people are calling and texting him every second to unalive himself. I don't want the father of my child to hurt himself. He's already going through it and already lost everything. Stop the hate, please. I am really trying to move on from this, but now I can't even try to heal or think about me and the baby because I have to worry about my ex hurting himself. I have never seen any girl's DM about him until Peyton messaged my friend that she found on TikTok. I forgot to show this screenshot in my previous video, but Peyton, I believe, is the person that Landon tried to meet up with and is the one that sent over screenshots for Liz to see that Landon had attempted to cheat on her. That's the only reason I found out. When I found out, I immediately left, and I'm trying to move on. Do whatever you want to do, but leave me out of this and stop creating false narratives that never happened. To my followers, I want to say thank you for all the kind words and support. I don't have words to describe how supported I feel by you guys in my lowest moments. I really love you guys so much, and I owe you my whole life. Really, thank you. There is one more screenshot that was within these stories she had posted that many people had reposted several times because she quickly deleted it. This screenshot says, "Oh, and I'm trying to message her personally now, but I just saw she blocked me. Girl, how are you going to lie and block me?" Yeah, she deleted the story really fast. Abby also says in response to Liz, she was never blocked. I don't know why she said that in her story. I didn't want any negativity to go towards Landon or Liz, and I didn't say anything bad. I think she meant bad. I just shared my experience with Landon. I only shared my experience because people were saying Landon and I dated while he was in a relationship with Liz. She even shared this in the video as we saw previously. And she took it to her story asking why they thought that. I was clearing my name and my boyfriend's name by making my story and showing timestamps. I have nothing to gain by lying or being involved. I have a voice in a story. I was protecting my relationship by explaining the Europe situation and the fact that I was getting so many comments saying Landon and I were together in Europe when that was not the truth. And I believe that she probably was getting a lot of hate comments if this other random girl that had nothing to do with the situation was also getting a bunch of random hate comments, because I'm not sure if it's on Liz's end or Landon's end, but I'm assuming that there are a lot of people that are in their following that really want to stalk people or dig really deep into people that either aren't related to the situation or have their own situation and story. But what doesn't make sense to me is the person that Landon tried to cheat on Liz with didn't even want Landon, so why are they trying to go after them in the first place? But yeah, I do believe this because we've seen this happen to somebody else who had nothing to do with the situation. And how are you going to talk about cheating when Landon just posted evidence of you having a married sugar daddy whilst in a relationship with him? Weird. Cheaters should date cheaters, period. Leave other people out of y'all mess. When Abby's pregnancy was called into question, unfortunately she felt like she had to prove that she was pregnant, so she did upload a document where she was in the emergency room, and the document does show that she was pregnant. as you can see here highlighted, she was currently pregnant. This was re-uploaded to Reddit, and in this story she wrote, "I was pregnant, this is ER paperwork. I'm not wanting to make any more videos. I posted the truth and my reality with who I was with." Her sister also came out and made a TikTok about this.
Hi guys, I'm making this video to address some stuff that are going on online that are just false. Landon's ex-girlfriend decided to come on TikTok and share her story, which she has the right to, but then the video she is claiming that my sister called her, so Liz called her. She's showing screenshots of messages where in the second message she is saying that I'm the girl that you called in November. The evidence she's showing for this call is a no caller ID number. She is sharing messages where she is basically implying that my sister saw the messages. She goes on to saying that she recognized my sister's voice because she has a Middle Eastern accent. My sister is not from the Middle East. She doesn't have a Middle Eastern accent. Then our friend is sending that video to us. Friend, go and comment that that is not true. When my friend goes and comments that, all her comments get deleted. This video, which to us we thought like nobody was really gonna take this video seriously because, you know, a girl called a girl, whatever. All of a sudden my sister is getting all these messages saying that she knew that Landon was cheating, saying that she called this ex-girlfriend. First of all, my sister is not the type of person to call an ex-girlfriend. That's not the type of woman she is. We don't go and call girls and check our phones of our partners. She would never do that. The video seems harmless, but all of a sudden my sister is getting all these messages of hate, people accusing her of lying. When I see that video, I know what you're doing. Like, I know what you're implying. I know that you're implying that she knew. I know that you're implying that she saw your messages and she ignored it. I know what you're implying. Everyone on the internet, you can say whatever you want on your videos, but we know what you're implying and what you're trying to do. And if you were really a girl's girl and you really wanted you know, to come to Liz her defense or whatever, share your story, then why are you deleting the comments of our friends when they're saying like, hey, she never called you. I didn't want my sister to get involved in this because I don't want this story to get bigger and bigger. Liz was like, I want to message her. I want to ask her why she said that in the video. So then my sister goes and tries to message you, and she finds out that she's blocked and she cannot find your name. When I look you up on Instagram, I can find your name, she can't. So she said that you blocked her, and here's proof of the fact that she cannot find you on her Instagram. You have her blocked. That is the truth.
She then goes on to show how when they try to type in Abby's name, it doesn't come up because they claim that she has been blocked. And then this gets into a huge back and forth. The sister then spends a few more minutes defending Liz, saying a whole bunch of different things like Liz is going through pregnancy and hormonal issues, and it's causing her to react different ways than she might normally act, which people have pointed out that she has actually been pretty mean to others in the past. She also makes some odd comments that don't really have much to do with anything that Abby said about her, such as the criticism of people calling her a relationship coach.
People are calling her a relationship coach, a dating coach. Like, when has she ever talked about relationships? Like, the only thing my sister talks about is literally standing up for yourself. She talks to people who have been victims of abuse. When has she ever talked about love?
But she constantly talks about relationships in her TikToks.
I will not settle for someone that's cheating on me. You guys, do you understand what cheating is?
That's why women stay in relationships with narcissists for so long. God didn't give you broken love. Humans did. When God takes him away, it's protection. It's not hurt, it's not pain, it's protection.
She then goes on for a little bit, recapping the entire situation that has taken place between Liz, Landon, and why people are upset with Liz in this situation. She denies Liz defending Landon, saying that Liz's motives are only for Landon to not hurt himself and how they're trying to figure out how to co-parent. One thing that a lot of people did happen to be upset with was at the end of this video, she says that they are going to court, Landon and Abby, and may the liar get what they deserve.
And what happened between Landon and his ex-girlfriend is going to court. So they can go and defend themselves in court and, you know, may the liar get what they deserve.
People have taken this implying that she is calling Abby a liar. Other people have been saying, no, she's just saying whoever is lying is going to be found out in court. In my opinion, I think regardless of her intentions, this was worded poorly, because if she didn't mean to call Abby a liar, she could have worded it better. And if she meant to call Abby a liar, just say it with your full chest. By the way, I should clarify, she did say that she was lying about Liz, but in this part of the video, she's talking about her experience with Landon, and that's what has upset people. Abby then apparently left a comment under that TikTok, and she claims that the comment was removed. Abby's comment left on this TikTok states, "I appreciate the video. I never had any motives. You saying I did is false. If I had a motive or ill intent, I would have posted everything the moment they got engaged. But honestly and truly, I was relieved that this man would never ever again re-enter my life. I made my story because Liz posted to her story asking, why is everybody saying Landon was in a relationship? People found my current boyfriend and I and started attacking us. I made my story with timestamps to set the story straight and let everybody know that I was not with Landon in Europe, but actually stalked. I have never lied in my videos. I did get a call from a no-caller ID. They said it was Liz and asked who I was. I said Middle Eastern because Dubai is in the Middle East. I never deleted any comments or blocked anybody. I showcased the fact that I never blocked Liz or yourself multiple times because that was a lie. Liz took to her story saying I had cheated with a SD. I never ever had one. That is in fact a lie. All I did in my videos was defend myself, and the I endured are enduring by reliving what I did survive from. Liz deleting her stories is all I needed to see to confirm that I will no longer be participating in this drama. I am a girl's girl. I did try to warn her since I did get a call. I have not and will not lie. I posted this today to confirm that I'm wanting to move on with all of this drama. Everything I said was the God honest truth. And this seems like it was reposted to her story because it says, posting it here since my comment was deleted. Please stop lying on my name, making it look to be worse than it is. And Abby also had this to say after making all of the videos that she made, but before deleting all of them. On June 4th, Abby made one last response, and shortly after that, a few days later, I believe, she deleted all of her videos, and we'll get into that in a moment. But she wrote, "This is my last and final response. I lived through the weight of being misunderstood, misrepresented, and silenced. This wasn't just about clearing my name, it was about reclaiming my voice and reminding other women that they are never alone. If you have ever been silenced, doubted, or made to feel like your pain was inconvenient, I see you. We are enough. We are allowed to speak. We are allowed to heal. And no one, not even public figures, gets to rewrite our truth for us. Let's keep supporting each other, not tearing one another down. That is where real strength and change begin." Abby then at some point posted a story saying, "Landon telling me to delete my videos or he will sue me after I upload my story of our relationship with screenshots." And then you can see two comments and they both say, "Take these videos down or prepare to be sued." There's also something else that Liz had brought up, which is in the original video I talked about, she was discussing how she wanted to sell her $100,000 engagement ring and donate the money to single mothers. Apparently, according to what she had stated in this Instagram story, she was not able to do that. She wrote, "I am donating $50,000 of my own money. I am not allowed to legally sell the engagement ring, or so I was told, so I will just give it back." And people have been questioning whether or not he could legally prohibit her from selling it. I'm not sure if this is a state-by-state thing. I had to look this back up on Google because I remember hearing about this at some point in the past. But if you're engaged to somebody, depending on, I guess, where you live, unless they give it to you as like a birthday or a Christmas gift, it's considered conditional, which means that if you say yes, you're gonna marry that person and accept the ring, unless you proceed with getting married, I guess you technically don't have legal ownership of it if the person you're engaged to really wants to make a big deal about it. I'm sure that some people who have had engagements that didn't go through allowed the person to keep the ring and do whatever they want with it, or don't know and just don't make a big deal out of it. But if someone wanted to, technically I guess they could until they get married, as far as I'm aware and from what I'm understanding through Google. With that being said, however, that makes me question every everything that she mentioned about being married in the first video I've made, because she publicly said in a comment under her TikTok, as it was reported on in news outlets, that they had gotten married in secret. So is she legally married or not? I'm back to that question. And also many are questioning her integrity over this, because she was very confident in saying that she was going to donate $100,000. Now she's saying she's going to donate $50,000. And she does then share screenshots of her sending thousands of dollars to different people who claim to be single mothers, which overall I guess is a good thing. I just hope she vetted them. I think with this though, it was done hastily, at least throughout the post she shared on Instagram, because she was getting criticism over a lot of things, and I feel like she probably felt like she was going to be criticized if she talked about how she's no longer allowed to sell the $100,000 engagement ring. I feel like all of this was unnecessary and could have been avoided just by her not making that original post. She could have still talked about being cheated on, and I get wanting to make light of the situation somehow, but especially with saying things that you don't even know if you're allowed to do, it is a pretty impulsive decision. In fact, I would say that one of the bigger criticisms one could give to TheWizardLiz is that she's made a lot of impulsive decisions when it's come to Landon. Now, that's not to say that him cheating on her and everything he's done is her fault by any means. I'm talking about how she's handled the situation since. When it comes to Liz, she actually has a track record of being pretty nasty towards others, which is really hypocritical for somebody whose platform is to try and lift other people up and inspire others to be their best selves. A lot of people have been reposting TikToks and posts that she has made, some of which have been deleted. We're going to start with this one, which is a response to another TikToker named Levi Washington. Now, the video I'm about to show is actually a stitch that he made to her video, but this is what she had to say in regards to some criticisms he has given her. And I wouldn't really even call it criticisms, he kind of just gives an analysis of the situation and does so in a fairly respectful and soft-spoken way that does not seem like he's directly attacking her to warrant such a response from her. At one point, he even praises her, saying that she is carrying a life while grieving betrayal, and the strength that it takes to walk away from that is admirable.
I genuinely wish Liz healing, not followers, not fanfare, but the kind of people in her life who see her as a person, not a platform. I think it's sad to see her situation being used like confirmation bias, like living proof that no man should ever be trusted. She's not your martyr. She's a mother, carrying a life while grieving betrayal, and the strength that it takes to walk away from disrespect is something that should be admired. The deepest truth is, if love has not been healed within you, then no matter who is offering it, you'll confuse safety with weakness and respect with control, and you'll sabotage the very thing you claim to deserve.
So anyway, this is what she had to say to him about the situation.
Shut up, man. Like, worry about your bald head. Like, literally, no, because I'm literally trying to be serious. You worry too much about other people. That's why you have no hair.
This is how he handled the situation and responded.
After a video was posted about me earlier today to insult me physically, a lot of people have been observing that my hair doesn't grow in like it used to in my early 20s. Thank you for the influx of comments and DMs about this. I'm glad all of you have such keen eyesight. But what concerns me still is your insight. Because in my opinion, all that you have done is nothing except expose and confirm just how wounded the energy is here. It is said that a tree will be known by its fruits, and there is a lot of bad apples around here. Y'all can say whatever you want to about me. I don't care. Physical insults are low-hanging fruit. But I do draw the line at telling other women in the comments that you hope that they get essayed for agreeing with me and disagreeing with Liz. That is sick and wrong, and it speaks volumes. I have especially appreciated the DMs telling me to unalive myself.
You can see that there are definitely two different energies in this situation, and Liz does not provide a positive one. What I have noticed is that even through all of this, she has a very dedicated following that will be very nasty towards anybody who even gives her the lightest amount of criticism, and even going as far to telling people to end their own lives. But it gets even worse. So there's this thread on Reddit that has documented a few of these things, including what we just mentioned, but also talks talks about how she allegedly doxed somebody for criticizing her. And then there was supposedly somebody who had claimed he saw Liz at a place called the Five Palms Hotel, which is someplace in Dubai, allegedly a place for escorting. And Liz responded to this person by freaking out on them and saying that their mother is in SW.
It's the Wizard Liz. I have seen her many times at the Five Palm and whatever. You're ugly. Let's start there. Like, you could not pay me to look at you even, let alone sleep with you. You're just online saying stuff and yapping, but come with proof. Because maybe your mother is also a worker and we don't know. So I can also say that your mom's a worker. You're ugly as you're too old to be talking this shit. Put a shirt on and show me proof.
Now, I don't know if this accusation this other person has made is true or not, and obviously if it is untrue, I too would be very offended to hear something like that if I were in the same position. But the way that she reacted seemed really excessive in my opinion, especially coming from a person whose entire motto is try and keep things cool, move on, don't let people bring you down. It just seems like an entirely different persona that we're seeing here. And I'm assuming that a lot of people had similar opinions on this, considering that she deleted the video shortly after posting it. Now, I do want to say that none of this takes away the fact that she is a victim of Landon's terrible decisions, and she is going through a very difficult time carrying his child while dealing with the struggles of being betrayed by him. But I think that's actually why it's important to mention this. A lot of people have been saying that the Wizard Liz has been responding unfavorably because she's hormonal and pregnant and is dealing with a lot of emotions, but some of these responses just mentioned have been prior to any of this happening, except the first one we went over. That was after the cheating scandal. While I can empathize with the fact that Landon had put her in such a terrible position, this just makes me see her character in a different light, and it changes my perception of her from the first video that I've made on her, especially when it comes to the way that she initially responded to Abby, or even when it comes to, from as far as I'm aware, her failure to respond to her audience attacking another person that Landon had dated who had nothing to do with this situation whatsoever. Now, when it comes to Liz, there's one more thing that people have really been confused about, which is that people are speculating she may be getting back together with Landon after everything had happened. This is due to several different posts Landon has made. This is due to her standing up for Landon in certain circumstances, the post she made about the ring, and it's gotten to the point where she did make a response. Liz posted on Instagram, "Guys, please, I am not back with my ex. I have not seen him ever since I found this whole thing out. Just because he posts an old picture of me doesn't mean I am with him. I can't control what he posts. Damn, I'm just going to pull up with a new man to prove we're not together." Now, honestly, when it comes to her decision on taking Landon back, that's her choice to make if she really wants to do that. Some people can make it work if they really try with therapy and whatnot. It's a situational thing with boundaries that vary between couple to couple, but if everything that previous exes have said about Landon are true, that would be a pretty not great idea in my opinion, but again, that's her choice to make. The reason why a lot of people are upset about this though isn't really because of her own personal decision with this, it's that her entire online career is based upon being a strong, self-sufficient woman, to not take back cheaters, to move on and do better, and basically, just like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, how it's comparable to this alpha male content, she's preaching to be a high value woman, for a lack of a better term, and the way it comes off is that she is better than people who find themselves in similar situations of betrayal and take back somebody that betrayed them. At least that's the way I'm seeing it. In other words, people are upset over the hypocrisy that she could be displaying if she decides to take Landon back, which, to clarify, she still claims she has not done. And genuinely, I hope she never does, not just due to the hypocrisy thing, but also due to her own mental and physical well-being. When it comes to Landon, not only did he betray her trust, but he has done a lot of sketchy things in their relationship that would do nothing but cause harm and stress for her. And now we're getting into the rest of Landon's Instagram stories up to the current day, or at least at the time of recording this. So he made a 30-page response, and I'm going into this with a bias against him, obviously, because of all of this. And also, you have to consider, if you haven't seen my previous videos talking about I'm Alex, which, yes, by the way, if you don't know, I have committed to reading Alice's 750 plus page document. I'm still going to continue working on that. I got distracted by a couple other things, so we are getting back to that. I haven't forgotten. But the way that story had gone was Alice came out with her accusations. Then a year later, Alex made a response and twisting the tables onto her. And then the public opinion drastically changed against her. And people assumed that she was the one harming him. And then she made that 750 page document exposing everything, every small, tiny little detail, disproving things. And what really sucks is people didn't really give it the time of day because of how long the document was. And that's why I think it's important to read, and I am getting back to that. I haven't forgotten about that, but this story just reminds me about that a little bit. The way that new information comes out and completely twists and turns the public perception. I'm going into this with a bias because of previous stories that were similar, and also because we already know Landon to be manipulative towards Liz, and we already know him to have lied, and his character, in my opinion, just isn't the most trustworthy. But we're going to be taking a very close look at evidence. We're going to be comparing his story to Abby's story, and we're going to come to some conclusions here. There's a lot more that we definitely need to get into. So Landon makes a plethora of stories on his Instagram page, and this is how it starts out. This is the last thing I will post about this, / suing my ex-girlfriend for defamation, fraud, doxing, and lying. There are now multiple millions of dollars of damage charges against her, which she will have to face in federal court. I have been reading through people commenting on stuff, which is, if he's taking this to court, it might not be the best idea for him to be clearing his name online and throwing all of these receipts out to expose her before going to court with it. I don't know how that works, but I've read somewhere that that could create a bias and therefore could hurt his case more than help. I don't know if that's true. If you are more familiar with law and such, let me know if that's accurate. That is just what I've been reading through on like TikTok comments and whatnot. But this person had completely traumatized me for the year that we were together, and I will not sit back and let myself or my fiance be slandered online because of a grossly negligent liar and all of the evidence I'm about to show will be used in court, and I have 300 more messages, videos, witnesses, testimonies, and voice recordings that will back up my case in court. You shouldn't be showing any of this if you plan to take someone to court. That is probably the first thing a lawyer would tell you. He continues, I also want to take this moment to stand up for male and male victims. Many men don't come out because they won't be believed or they get shamed. I am embarrassed to post these things, and when I posted the evidence before, people just claim self-defense, you're making this up, and validate my I want to get justice for the I went through, and I will stand up for myself. He continues, 1. She claims I was physically towards her. This is absolutely false and disgusting coming from a person that physically me. The video she shows is 1 second of me enraged after I hit my wall. The truth, I hit that wall after she attacked me. This was not the first time she assaulted me. She swung at my head 9 times and 3 hit and clawed my eye with her nail. I did not fight back. I attempted to calm her down and defuse the situation. She proceeded to viciously demean me and call me a and then started to call my mom a So out of frustration, I walked up to her, turned, and hit the wall. I would not ever hit or the woman. I should not have hit that wall, but I am human. The physical abuse I endured happened multiple times, and this will be proven in court. He does show photos of his neck being scratched up like I mentioned previously, and this does look really bad. He says, for instance, November 2023. Now, there was a text where she did claim that this was self-defense. We read that earlier. Or, as I should clarify, that something was self-defense. It doesn't necessarily mean that she was talking about this, but she does talk about doing something in self-defense. I'm assuming possibly relating to this, or maybe relating to something else. I do find it a little strange that she didn't provide more leading up to that text message. She only posted those 2 things and there was some missing context. And with this, it looks bad. This very much reminds me of the I'm Alex and Alice situation. It feels so parallel to that. But just because that story ended up a certain way doesn't guarantee that this story will end up the same. I'm just seeing parallels here, but just like Alex coming out, sharing information when Alice hadn't provided the full context, I still have the stance thinks that more context needs to be provided on Abby's end if people want to give her the full benefit of the doubt, because this looks pretty bad, and right now I feel like she probably isn't saying anything because she feels silenced. It's hard for me to trust Landon at face value with his words, not just due to a similar situation I've covered previously, but also due to his track record with being dishonest to his partners and cheating and lying and being manipulative. But at the same time, if what he's saying is true, then yes, that's really bad. I can't give you more of a concrete opinion on this right now because we lack the information for me to do so, unfortunately. He then provides a text with the number crossed out, but I'm assuming he's the blue and Abby is the gray. And the gray text says, like, I have rage and will hit a man if he disrespects me. And he says, besides the hits, you've hit me 3 times, thinking I did something I didn't, and hitting me. Another text message says, young Lanson, I don't know if that meant Landon, I don't know, do you blame it on being young? And it's cut off, it says, I'm just saying something and now we something. And then there's a response, no, that's a boy mindset. I knew better than to hit you, but I did it anyway. Take ownership of the past, you will never change. And again, the text is cropped, but it says, I do take ownership, or own, but I'm assuming it says ownership, and we can't see the rest of that message. What I find, in my personal opinion, to be strategic is that behind this next text message, there looks to be a draft of a legal complaint. The blue text says, imagine how you would react if I said the same thing. Better than me in every way. I hope so. That would make the trade up worth it. I hope it works out for you. Then she responds, but there isn't a better woman. He says, with that mindset, I hope you'd want the same for me. She says, I made you more of a man just by me loving you and supporting you. He said, and hitting me. That made me stronger. She says, if any man cheats on me, I'll slap him in the face. Won't apologize. He said, let's hope they actually cheated then. She said, you did. Always will because of your mom and dad. One day you will heal. He said, you've hit me 3 times thinking I did something I didn't. He then shares a screenshot to who I assume is a friend, and it looks like the screenshot is a message from Abby saying, for if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you, but you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. Following up with, we have a lot of trauma from one another and it continues to build up. I hope you can forgive me and what I had done wrong to you. You're already forgiven in my eyes. Have a wonderful year and life. You mean well on this earth and you will achieve whatever you was, I think she meant to say want. I'm sorry for my wrong and my addiction to your trauma. I pray you can forgive me and have a joyful life. You will always remain special in my heart and I'll always be there for you and cheering you on. Thank you for opening my eyes and showing me a new path. You have shown me what true love was like. I was always forgiving and moving forward, and to me, I've shown you unconditional love since we always got back together and moved forward. Have a wonderful life, Landon. He says bait in all caps. And this person responds, effing bait AF. You can forgive her without going back. He says, bro, I'm hurting right now. Feel like trash. I want to respond, but haven't. The thing is, I don't want to betray what I told her about the if you ever hit me again thing. But it was all just a big effing waste of time. He then says in another post, truth. She invited me to Ibiza. She was still saying she loved me. Told me she's with a bunch of married billionaires and told me to come because these men would be potential investors. I was hesitant to go, and I contacted my friends to ask if I could crash at their place in case I would get stranded. The second day there, my group ran into hers and I saw her holding hands with a man that she was cheating on me with. No wonder she freaked out when I bought my flight. So he is making a entirely different claim. She claimed that she had posted her location and shared that she was in Ibiza and that he showed up to Ibiza in a way to stalk her. And he claims that she invited him to Ibiza because there were going to be billionaires there for potential investment, and that at this point they were still together, I guess, and they were not physically together during this trip, but they ran into each other during this trip and he caught her with somebody else. So these are 2 wildly different stories. These are 2 very huge claims that are the polar opposites of each other, and I would really love to know what Abby would say in a response, but I have a feeling she probably isn't going to respond. I could be wrong, but due to her being afraid of being sued and taking the videos down, unless this does make it into a courtroom and something happens, I don't know if we'll ever get her side of the story at this point. He shares a text with the name and number cropped out. In the blue it says multiple people. Gray says, who, LMAO? I'm assuming he's in blue and that she's in gray. He says, nah. She says, okay, I have 11 billionaires. We will be going to Ibiza. Majority. Come the 18th. He says, that's all you care about. She says, you want to be somebody? Come. He says, status, image, and money. She says, stop being a baby. Yes. He says, no, you're a effing. He then shares a screenshot of notifications from a contact titled A. Why is it just A? That's weird to me. But anyway, the texts say, I'm doing nothing wrong. Some of us can have a convo, some can't. That's why Sam wasn't invited. Billionaires. I'm with married men and women. Still don't understand why it's just under the name A. Also, somebody was really excited about Jujutsu Kaisen at the bottom there. So then he provides a screenshot, which we have briefly gone over earlier. There are a few duplicates here due to him reposting the story in more detail, and this is a screenshot who I believe is from his mother, and the blue is his mother and he is the white, if I'm understanding correctly. And I can't read the full thing, but it's from July 14th 2024, and where I can start to understand and read is, surround yourself with positive people even when you feel bad, even when you feel like crawling in the bed, especially then. Love isn't supposed to hurt. He then responds saying, now she's saying she wants me to come meet billionaires. They'll buy ARC. I don't know what ARC is or why it's spelled like that. The next text says, hey mom, I love you very, very, very much. A little update for you. Abby did exactly what I thought she would. She told me she loved me and wanted me to come to Ibiza. She was trying to be sweet, but shut down again today. I feel like I now have all of the closure I need to move forward into the next chapter of life. She told me to come to Ibiza on Thursday, so I somewhat desperately booked something and it cuts off, just like previously. It's the same exact screenshot. There is then a screenshot from somebody else where it starts with them saying, advice, block Abby, don't ever respond, come here and be a ghost. She won't do anything to you. Andy's words, losers find ways to lose, winners find ways to win. Landon says, may just be the exact advice I needed right now. I'm not going to ignore this one. I told Abby I had somewhere else to stay in Ibiza just now and she freaked out, asking what I'm staying with. LOL, I'm coming. And then more screenshots who I am assuming is from his mother, him in the white, the mother in the blue, him starting off with saying, I just saw her in Ibiza holding another guy's hand. That's crazy to me. She says, that's disgusting to me. He says, I agree. And she says, I'm sorry, Bubba. Just be glad the sheep's clothing, and it cuts off again. Landon then continues, third claim, I was cheating on her. Truth, I was not cheating on her, and the only time I was with someone else, we were broken up. The trip she mentioned, we were not together. She was constantly talking to and seeing other men, even when quote-unquote pregnant, whilst we were talking. She lied about men she kissed behind my back. She had 2 sugar daddies. I'm going to blur out the names because I don't know who these guys are, and if he wants to complain about doxing, I don't know if this breaches the level of doxing or not, so I'm just gonna say M and Z in Las Vegas during their relationship. My best friend also found her on Hinge, and she was talking to my other best friend's manager on there as well. He then shares more screenshots. You told me you were in Miami, then New York, but didn't want to say Nashville for some reason. What I assume is her says, I was in Miami. I didn't want you to think I was with Z, because each time I say Nashville, you think that. So if I was in New York City, you wouldn't think that. I can't keep a lie, and it will come out. I have shame for lying. I'm sorry. I see my place, no matter what point or reasoning. He says, do you see how now that you lied, I think you were with Z or something similar even more? She says, I personally don't want to lie. Yes. He says, yeah. Also, I don't know how that Hinge account would get that new pic of you if it was deactivated. Just have all of these skepticisms now. She says, I updated that pic. I put it in there. That pic was from Miami. I had it in Miami. He said, so you were trying to trade me up that whole time? I thought you said earlier your account was suspended a long time ago. There are then a couple text messages that we had already gone through, so I'm going to skip to his fourth claim. Fourth claim, I stalked her to Miami and also found her therapist. The truth, we both had the same therapist in Miami because we were going to her for couples counseling, and we both also did individual therapy with her. We both flew and moved to Miami together, and my mom was with her when she got the keys to her apartment. The therapist can testify in court. So originally, I thought that maybe they were in a couples therapy in a different state and that she had moved alone to Miami and got a new therapist, and I'm still under the assumption assumption of that because of the way she described it, but he has a completely different story and is describing it as, no, they both moved to Miami together and found this other couple's therapist. He then says, crazy to see how malicious these lies were. So these are text messages from what looks like to be his mom, and the mom says, screen record of just that video that came from her phone to mine of me in her new place. And then I guess there were pictures they shared, I am assuming his mom. And we had already gone over the text messages with the therapist. Fifth claim, she was pregnant. Truth, I still don't know if she was really pregnant, quote unquote, the first time, and I don't know if the child was mine since I now have testimonial evidence of cheating during this time frame. She claimed she was pregnant many times during our 1-year relationship in ways that inflicted serious trauma on me. I kept taking her seriously until I realized how manipulative it was. She once, quote unquote, broke up with me and gave me a pair of baby shoes in a box, then days later was very clearly not pregnant. So we're gonna read these backwards because the bottom is actually the first set of messages versus the top. It looks like he word searched pregnant to find all of these conversations. So on March 3rd, he said, your decision to leave while acknowledging you are possibly pregnant is and something you have done many times to me. And that was March 3rd, 2024. On March 7th, 2024, she wrote, I'm not pregnant. On March 8th, the next day, she wrote, if I was pregnant with someone else's kid, I'd rather not have vision. I don't know what that means. On March 10th, she wrote, good thing I'll be in LA if I am pregnant. But she said she wasn't pregnant on March 7th. And then on March 12th, there's a conversation of her saying, and I'm not plotting on being pregnant, LMAO. He wrote, I woke up on Sunday to you saying you're done again, etc. and to never talk to you. Felt so toxic. And now you're plotting on being pregnant together? She said, haha, yeah, what do you mean? I could be pregnant. I wasn't trying to be volatile. I don't think I was. I was asking nicely and giving you updated what I assumed she meant to add in was information about me not being pregnant. He then adds in the footnotes here saying, pregnancy manipulation is severely traumatic and damaging, FYI. Pregnancy evidence she provided was from November 2023, by the way. That's interesting because he said in the previous slide, I still don't know if she was really pregnant the first time, but she did provide proof for being pregnant previously, so I don't know if there was a time before that. That's a little confusing to me, but it is good to know that these dates don't really line up, so this is a different time where I guess she claimed to be pregnant again, if what he's saying is true. The next slide says, messages to her mom. This was the quote-unquote baby shoes parting gift incident, and this starts in December of 2023. Abby is not telling me if she's pregnant or not. She says she is, but doesn't confirm. Now she is running away and blocking me on everything. This is evil. I'm sorry. I tried to do my best by your daughter. Then he wrote, so embarrassing. He then adds, sixth claim, I quote-unquote harassed her family to take the videos down and quote-unquote somehow found their phone number. Truth, I respectfully sent her mom, dad, and brother a message. I was dating this person for a year and had met her family personally and had prior messages with them. Yeah, that still came off as really legally threatening though. We're gonna go over it, but in my opinion, I'm sure this caused her family a lot of stress. Anyway, Landon wrote, hi, so sorry to disturb you and hope all is well. Abigail has just intentionally and provably defamed me on her TikTok, claiming I was physically and cheating, fabricating stories, details, incidents, dates to make me look bad, omitting facts and writings of her own, like fake pregnancies, showing very personal texts and emails sent, and ultimately is maliciously disparaging my character for her own personal and monetary gain a year since I've seen her. She also leaked my personal phone number and business email in the process of causing more distress and damages. I do not want to disturb your family, but I am requesting kindly that you call her to ask if she will take them down. I do not want to pursue legal action or damage claims against your daughter, but these must be taken down one way or another. Please advise by tomorrow morning. It looks like he basically copied and pasted this message to other people in the family with little bits here and there that are different, such as the second part of the message saying to her father, out of respect for you and your family, I am asking you directly to please take a look at this. Again, I am sorry to reach out on these circumstances. The father then replies, Landon, lots to take in, especially in this format. I will certainly speak with Abby in the morning. He says, okay, thank you very much. He then goes on to say, seventh claim, I sent her thousands of flowers and I wrote her a book. Truth, I never did this. I never spoiled her or loved her like I do Liz. I did send her flowers and I did write small notes throughout the relationship, but nothing close to what I did for Liz. I feel like she is using this situation to exploit my fiance's pain and use it to benefit by manipulating everyone to seem a victim. Liz is the victim in this story. Why did he say my fiance and not ex-fiance? That's a whole other story. story, but we're gonna try and stay focused on this for now. He also wrote, I only have ever done this for Liz and will only ever do this for Liz. And then he shows pictures of the flowers, the ring, and the presents. And then he says, like, she's the love of my life. Shouldn't be was? I digress. He then goes on to say, 8th truth, she didn't show the last message I sent her because it contradicts her entire narrative. This is the message I sent her after everything I found out. In quotations, it says, I'm not proud of any of this. It's hateful, and I rebuke the negativity, but it was my true feeling. I'm not proud of this. It's hateful, and I rebuke the negativity, but it was my true feelings. Also, after the first Ibiza encounter, our paths crossed at a club, and I literally just laughed out loud and kept on enjoying my night. I felt pity for her, and I had nothing to do with her man getting intimidated. By that point, I had finally realized who this person really was. And this is what he claims was the last message he sent her. This was dated July 18th, 2024, and I'm just going back to check and make sure that that was the correct date of the message she said that he sent her. This actually does not match up with the dates. She claims that the last message he sent to her was July 28th, and this says July 18th. Now, this doesn't prove or deny whatever he claims in this email, which we are about to get into, but I do want to make it known that he claims that this is the last message he sent her, when that doesn't seem to be the case, at least on her end, when she claims that he sent her a message July 28th, which would have been 10 days later. No subject. Just found out you were in Vegas with Z in May. No wonder you're doing what you're doing now. You never cared. Worse than terrible. Laughing that I effing caught you that night before we went to Miami, and you lied the whole way through. Lied through your effing teeth. I'm about to have everything I ever wanted and more now. You lied about who you went with to Vegas and who you went with to Europe. You traded me up. I've never met someone more selfish. I've never met someone who lies more. I've never met someone more cruel. You looked me in the eyes and promised you weren't going to keep hurting me, but this whole time you've just been a lying bad person. How could you ever be such a terrible effing person to someone who loved you so much? And how could you sit there and not feel bad enough to make it right? Bro, didn't you do the same thing to your wife / fiance? Landon then ends off with, again, I have video, audio, and photo evidence and many witnesses. She has already received the letters from my lawyers and it's already being taken to court. This is not some internet TikTok beef. This is real life. You can't come online and make up lies about people, especially in a vulnerable state, and try to benefit off of people's pain. I hope your 5 minutes of fame was worth it. I don't care what the internet believes at this point. This is affecting my real life, my family, and I will not let this woman who almost ruined my life and self-esteem continue to drag me down a dark path. I am focused on becoming the best man and father I can be. The rest will be handled in court. Thank you. All I have to say is that you were engaged / married to somebody that you cheated on with, who was also an influencer, and I would say that the criticism you have been receiving for that is a consequence of your own actions. Now, when it comes to this, because there's so much conflicting information that now it does seem like it has to wait until court is finished to determine what is true and what is not, if we'll ever know the full details, but this is still absolutely wild to me. He does say one more thing, which is, she just took down all of her videos slandering me. What is real will prosper. We'll show court result. Again, he did message members in her family asking her to take the videos down and threatened her with legal action. So I am not surprised that the videos were taken down. Could she have been lying in those videos? Could she have been telling the truth? I'm not sure, because again, this information is so contradictory to each other. They're telling us polar opposites of what happened. He does prove some of the stuff she said doesn't add up, but he has also proven himself to be a manipulative, lying person as well, and there are a few things that he added in his own story that don't add up either. So it is hard for the public to take his word. The only way we will find out the truth is to see what happens in court, but even then, we might not know the full details, because cases like this aren't always cut and dry, and not only that, it could take a while if this actually does make it to a courtroom. So I'm going to dive into my final thoughts on this situation, because I have quite a few of them. Let's start off with Abby and Landon, since this seems to be the majority of this video. Landon provided a lot of screenshots in response to Abby's claims, which has definitely raised my eyebrows in certain circumstances. I'm less concerned about the cheating between the two of them and more concerned about the accusations of DV that they have shared against each other. Abby claims that Landon had physically harmed her at points. Landon claims that Abby had physically harmed him at points. There is a text where Abby talks about doing something in self-defense, and we don't know for sure if that was in response to the text that he had sent her previously, but she did say that at some point. Landon, however, shows images of the back of his neck being really scratched up. We do not know the entire context of this entire situation. We do not know if this was something done in self-defense, if this was done for any other reason. Landon did provide text messages where Abby was talking about smacking people over circumstances. I think a lot more context needs to be provided for this specific situation. I would love to know Abby's response to this situation, but again, that's not something I'm actually expecting to hear anytime soon. She had deleted all of her videos regarding Landon, which in all honesty, I don't know how to feel about that, because on one hand, she could have done it out of fear and stress, because who wouldn't be worried about getting some kind of lawsuit from somebody who claims to have a lot of money? But there have been people saying, well, if she's telling the truth, why would she be afraid of this lawsuit? The thing is, I have seen other people get into lawsuits before, and even when they win those lawsuits, those videos have to come down temporarily, so who knows if those videos will come back up after this supposed court date happens, whenever it does, if it does. With that being said, in both arguments, there are different discrepancies. For example, for Landon, he claims the last time that he tried to contact her was through email on July 18th, but it was actually 10 days later on July 28th that Abby had shown an email she received from him. And as an example for a potential discrepancy on Abby's side, she claims that Landon stalked her after she moved to Miami, but he claims that they actually moved in together, and he showed text messages and videos from his mom at their apartment. Now, while I don't think the cheating in this circumstance is as serious as the other accusations they've made against each other, they both did claim that the other had cheated on them, and in public responses, they both denied the cheating on each end, although she claims that he admitted it to her when she had allegedly caught him cheating on her. He shares a lot of text messages of her allegedly having sugar daddies. Although the word sugar daddy wasn't used directly in the text messages, he claims that these people brought up in the text messages were her sugar daddies. And she has several different text messages and email after email after email of Landon trying to contact her when she claims she didn't want to be contacted. So they both have screenshots of different things, and both of their stories are wildly different from each other at this point due to how conflicting each story is. Even though there are a lot of screenshots on each end, I still don't find it enough to come up with a confident conclusion on who is lying and who isn't. My best guess would be that both of them are telling some truths and both of them are telling some lies, and both of them are leaving out a lot of context to help support their own arguments against the other. And like I've repeated so many times in this video, this is coming from somebody who went into this with a bias against Landon, because I truthfully don't believe he is the most honest or trustworthy source in this situation. With that being said, let's get into Liz. I would really like to assume that Liz is just getting manipulated and wrapped up in this situation by Landon, but I feel like that would be very charitable towards her, considering the fact that diving deeper into this, it seems like the personality that she shares online isn't her true, fully authentic self. She preaches a lot of confidence and moving on from relationships that don't serve you well and X, Y, and Z, but then there are clips of her being really nasty towards other people in the face of criticism, and it really shows a level of insecurity that originally I hadn't noticed. Again, this is somebody that I have just stumbled across during this entire situation. There's no reason not to believe that he cheated on her in this situation, because Landon himself admitted it. She has provided enough proof that this actually did happen. I believe it 100% that she has been put in a very traumatic situation when it comes to Landon. And yes, I still do think it's an act of cheating. He went behind her back with the intention to betray her and not be loyal to her. So even though the person didn't reciprocate that desire to meet up and he didn't actually successfully go through with the act of cheating, the intention was there, and everybody's definition of cheating is different. I think personally that counts as betraying your partner, being disloyal, and I find those types of things to be a form of cheating. I do. This wasn't just a quick thought, this was something he intentionally planned. The only reason why the plan didn't work was because the other person didn't want to partake. All of that to say that despite everything, I do genuinely still feel bad for Liz. She is still carrying Landon's child, and this is an entirely horrible situation to just go through. It genuinely genuinely is. That being said, I do think that she could have been a little bit more understanding to Abby, regardless of where the truth lies in this situation. She claims she's a girl's girl. However you want to take that, I think that if she truly was, she wouldn't have been so dismissive immediately before more information developed. That being said, additionally, I really am disappointed to have not seen any type of response when it comes to the other person getting dragged into this situation for no reason at all other than being one of Landon's exes. She had nothing else to do with the situation. Liz's fans were harassing her, and I think that's pretty crappy. I think she is a very flawed person. I think that there are some more insecurities than she had originally let on to somebody that might know about her on a surface level, and I think this entire situation has gotten very, very, very out of hand. I still feel bad for her and wish nothing but the best moving forward when it comes to this situation, because this is something very traumatic to go through, but I also think she could have done better in many, many, many ways, and it's really disappointing to see how she handled a lot of this after all of the events that had taken place in the first video that I made. Thank you so much if you've made it all the way to the end of this video. I know this one was a long one. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you again very much. Thank you so much to everybody supporting me over on Patreon. Thank you so much to everybody supporting me through YouTube memberships. It means a lot to me. I am very grateful for you. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video where we're going to be discussing some crazy stuff. I have a whole list of topics, but I will be continuing that I'm Alex video. I didn't forget about it. So yeah, I'll see you later.